Here we are. Championship round. We've made it. We've got the final four teams in the NFL. We've got the Chiefs and the Ravens in the AFC, and the Lions and the Niners in the NFC. Two very exciting matchups that I'm very much looking forward to discussing and watching this weekend. These games in the divisional round were excellent. I thought most of them were very, very good. Ravens-Texans was not as exciting as I'd hoped. It turned into a blowout in the second half. The Ravens defense just clamped down hard, and the Texans just couldn't do anything in response. Lions-Bucks was close, Niners-Packers was close, and Chiefs-Bills was close, all of which ended in tragedy. Packers and Bucks both threw interceptions to end the game, and the Bills, 30 years later, after the infamous wide right field goal to lose Super Bowl 25, missed another field goal wide right to lose to the Chiefs, which I'm happy the Chiefs moved on, but I understand that that is a sore spot for Buffalo fans, and I understand that, and I respect that. It was a hard-fought game, and both teams made a lot of mistakes that could have been avoided. I'm just happy the Chiefs made it. I don't think we're going to go further than this. Speaking of which, let us discuss. Today is going to be probably a bit shorter, but I'm going to discuss each championship matchup and then each of the possible Super Bowl matchups afterwards. First of all, the AFC Championship. I am not convinced that the Chiefs have a shot. I think it's going to be a defensive contest, by which I mean their defense is going to contest our offense. I don't see us having much of a shot. I'm not convinced. We made so many mistakes against Buffalo. Mecole Hardman fumbling it out of the end zone for a touchback. Not recovering that fumble late in the game that Josh Allen made at midfield. It just doesn't, those mistakes do not bode well. And we got bailed out hard at times. We got an invisible pass interference, got some real dicey situations that went our way. We just happened to pull it out and got a little bit lucky. But I do think we played better than the Bills. I just don't think the Ravens are going to make as many mistakes as the Bills did. Now, with that said, I don't think the Chiefs are going to lay down and die. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. But the Ravens defense, watching what they did to the Texans in the second half of that game, I just don't see any way we make a stand. The Texans have some great receivers that couldn't get anywhere. And we have Mecole Hardman and Kadarius Toney and Marquez Valdez-Scantling, which does not bode well. Meanwhile, the Ravens' offense is excellent. Jackson's looking perfectly fine. Odell Beckham Jr.'s doing great. If our defense can stop them, we have a slim chance of winning that game. But I'm not convinced. And I think the Ravens are going to the Super Bowl. Watching how they played on Saturday, they just look like the team to beat in the NFL, period. They just make it look easy. And I don't understand. I don't understand how they make it look so effortless. And the defense, that pass rush, Jesus Christ, they're terrifying. I mean, Stroud just was under pressure so much in that game. It was ridiculous. Plus, the fact that the Chiefs are going to have to play in Baltimore, the fact that the Texans were cruising in Houston, and then get to Baltimore, and they get called for, I think, 5 false starts. They couldn't communicate. And I think that's going to really hurt the Chiefs. NFC Championship. I don't know. I do not know. This is going to be a tough matchup. I think both of these offenses are phenomenal. The Niners shed a lot of my concerns about, especially with Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey accounted for, more than half of the Niners' points versus the Packers. Kittle scored the other touchdown. They got a field goal. Weren't really many turnovers, if any, I don't think. They managed to intercept Jordan Love twice. However, the Niners' defense is not invincible. They're very good, but they are not invincible. And I think if the Lions can exploit their weaknesses, which I very much think they can, I think the Lions have more than a fair shake. But the Lions' defense is also not amazing. I watched them play the Bucks last week. The Bucks had one of the worst run games in the league, and somehow the Lions defense couldn't stop them from tearing off like 15-yard runs again and again and again. Now, with that said, protecting the pass, the Lions defense is great. But the run, especially with what seems to be a perfectly healthy Christian McCaffrey, I'm very worried. I love the Lions, and I want to be wrong, but my gut is telling me that we're getting a Ravens-Niners Super Bowl. I just love to be wrong, and granted I was wrong about 2 out of 4 of my picks last week, which is, I keep the same grade. I had 50% on the wild card, and I got 50% in the divisional. So hopefully I'll be wrong about one of these games, and either my Chiefs can make it or the Lions can make it. I'd rather the Lions make it. We don't need another Chiefs-Niners Super Bowl. We got one 4 years ago, okay? Just let the Lions have their day. They're doing amazing. They're doing incredible things. Now, with that said, let me discuss all of the potential Super Bowl matchups. Ravens-Niners, I think, will be a very solid game. Not the most exciting potential matchup, but based on their performances in December on Christmas Day, I think there's a big shot that this ends up being a very, very fun game, especially with two offenses that are fast and the Ravens defense being what it was and stopping the Niners in December. I'm not convinced the Niners will win that game, but I'd love to see it. Ravens-Lions is my preferred matchup. I would love to see those teams go head-to-head. I'd love to see if the Lions would be able to survive the Ravens defense. I would love to see how the Ravens offense does Jackson having to deal with their pass rush, because they got to Mayfield again versus the Bucs so many times. The big weakness was the run, but when the Bucs were passing, Mayfield rarely ever had time to think without having defenders in his face. And Mayfield's a very good quarterback, but he's not super mobile, which meant disaster more often than not. Chiefs-Niners, I don't care. That'd be my least favorite matchup out of these 4. I feel like Chiefs-Niners is so boring. We saw it 4 years ago. I mean, Purdy versus Mahomes could be fun, but I just don't... There's not nearly the same excitement because it's the one we've seen most recently. Chiefs-Lions, however, would be interesting because we started the season with the Chiefs and the Lions, and the Chiefs lost that game, which I think they would probably do again, but it would still be fun to watch, and it'd be a game where I, as a Chiefs fan, would be perfectly content that game going either of the two ways, where I'd love to see the Chiefs win another, but I'd also love to see the Lions win their first. I would be content either way. Both of my personally ideal matchups involve the Lions being there. Sorry, Niners fans. But I would love to see them in the Super Bowl. It'd be amazing. I feel like everybody's pulling for them other than Niners fans right now, which is probably how most people are feeling with the Ravens. I'm pulling for the Chiefs, obviously, but I understand why people are not, because we've been here before. It's only 6 years in a row now. But if we lose, I will be content. We made it to the AFC Championship again in a year that has been our worst since Mahomes became the starter. The fact that we exceeded expectations in that way makes me feel very comfortable with the state of this franchise. So even if we lose to the Ravens, which I think we will, I'll be happy. I'll be content. Enjoy the AFC and NFC championships, and stay safe, and enjoy.